Hi everyone, welcome to episode 13 of my chess rating climb. Yesterday's game brought me up exactly to my previous peak rating of 1534, so if I win today's game, it'll bring me up to a new personal best. Let's hop into a 15-minute game and see if I can get there. Okay, going for a PB, we got the black pieces, and we're going into a Scandinavian. Develop the knight. Okay, we can take this pawn here. And if they trade the knight, that's just good for us because now we're essentially one tempo ahead of white. Okay. Develop our other knight, put some pressure on this pawn. And we can develop the bishop to prepare castling. Question is, do we develop the bishop to f5 or g4 to pin the knight? Let's see. f5 seems a little bit more active, right? Yeah, let's go ahead and bring our bishop out to f5. Prepare castling on the next move. Alright, so now, can I castle? Or can I actually develop my knight? Or not develop my knight, but move my knight to b4. Put some pressure on this weak c-pawn. Maybe threaten a fork? Let's see, if I do that, if I threaten the fork here, and he develops his bishop, then I can double his pawns, because if I take his bishop, either with my bishop or with my knight, he can't take back with his queen. He has to take back with his c-pawn. Let's see, how else could he stop that? He could just slide his rook over and just accept the trade for two pieces for his rook. That doesn't seem good for me. Okay, so let's say I move my knight here, threaten the fork. Okay, I move my knight, he slides his rook over to defend the pawn, and then I add another attacker with my queen. That doesn't work, because if I add another attacker with my queen, then he wins at tempo by developing his bishop, and I just have to move my queen again. So yeah, that doesn't work. So, because that line doesn't work, I'm just going to castle. A3 seems a little bit slow. Ironically, I think he's trying to stop that idea that I just mentioned. But, I already concluded that that doesn't work, so, stopping my knight from going there doesn't really do anything. Granted, he is also preventing a check with the bishop if I were to push my e-pawn and get my bishop out, which is fair. So now, let's see. Can I go ahead and push e5? Offer a trade with these pawns? And open up lines to the king before he's castled? I don't think that looks terrible. Checking with the queen I don't think does anything. Yeah, checking with the queen doesn't do anything because he could just block with his bishop. Yeah, I think we push e5 here. Let's see, if I push e5, he takes with the pawn. Let's see, e5, pawn takes queen, rook takes queen, and then, yeah, that doesn't work because my e-pawn would fall. Okay, so if I push e5 and he takes with the pawn, I would have to take with the knight first, and that way if he takes my queen, I take back with my rook, maintaining the defense of that pawn. Okay, yeah, let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so I have to take back with the knight. Taking his queen wouldn't work there. Okay. So it looks like this is just a big exchange. His c-pawn is loose at the moment. So we'll see what he does about that here. Okay, so he castles to get out of it. Where do I develop my bishop? Do I fianchetto my bishop and get it along this diagonal? Or do I just develop it somewhere like right here? Let's see, neither of our position really has much of a weakness at this point. I would like to keep my bishops on the board if possible. We both have the bishop pair. Yeah, you know what? I do want to fianchetto my bishop. just because anywhere along this diagonal doesn't seem that great for me. And I've already blundered. Fantastic. Oh, that's just fantastic. Well, looks like I'm not going to get my rating points today. Yep, I didn't consider that he would be able to skewer here. Okay, so is there any way out of this? Probably not. Yeah, I'm just going to be down in exchange, right? Is there any way to get out of this? Because if I slide my rook over and he takes my other rook, it's not as if his bishop is pinned to his rook because this rook has a defender. So how can I get out of this? I don't think there's any way to. I think that was just a straight up blunder. Yeah, this is no good. Oh my gosh. Oh boy. Yeah, I just have to accept being down a rook, and hopefully the bishop here will get me there. Maybe he'll blunder a pin on his rook or something like that. I don't know. But let's go ahead and develop the bishop. That way we can take back with the rook here. Yeah, so honestly now my only hope is that he'll make a mistake. So I definitely don't want to be trading pieces while I'm down. How can I create some counterplay here? Let's see, if I move my bishop to g4, he just wins the tempo by blocking with his pawn. Okay, then do I have anything? I can deliver a check. Okay. I attack his rook. He blocks with the pawn. I deliver a check. Then do I have anything? I don't know. It might be worth it to induce a little bit of a pawn weakness. I do think that getting his king to move away from the defense of his rook might be a little bit advantageous. Like in case, I don't know, in case he moves his other rook over and then brings it down and then maybe loosens the defense of this rook at some point. I don't know. I am kind of grasping at straws here. I just have to complicate the position and hope that he makes a mistake. Okay, yeah, so I'm going to do that. Okay, let's deliver a check. And then I'll save my bishop. Yeah, at this point I really just want to keep my pieces as much on the board as possible. Hopefully I'll be able to use my bishop pair to leverage some sort of an advantage. Okay. Well, I'd like to activate my rook, but I don't want to offer a rook trade. So maybe I can bring my rook to the e file. Okay, let's see. Where's the most active place for my dark squared bishop to save it? Let's move it to e3. Yep, I anticipated that. Okay, so if I bring my bishop to f2 to threaten his rook, that doesn't really do anything because it's not as if it's forking his pieces because his g-pawn is protected by his other pawn. So yeah, I think I just got to move my bishop to b6 here. Now, unfortunately, yep, I was about to say, I think he does have access to bishop d5 to force a bishop trade and just force further simplification. Because I can't take the bishop because it's pinned to my rook, obviously. And if I move my bishop in such a way that also saves my rook, that just allows a rook trade. Oh my gosh, yeah. Yeah, this is not looking good for us. You know what? This is such a lost position. I am going to just go ahead and give my opponent the respect and resign this one. I think it was a pretty even game up until I made that just huge blunder. So yeah, let's look at the graph here. Yeah, look at that. Totally even game up until right there when I allowed this bishop move. Oh my word. Okay. So up here is all fine. Okay, so in this position, yeah, I should have pinned the knight with my bishop. Okay, fair enough. So that's fair. Okay, so I wasn't supposed to push e5. Interesting. Okay, so that's a miss. So if I push e5, that allows him to win a tempo on my queen, in which case I just have to move it back. And then he kicks my knight. Okay, and then I pin this pawn by moving my queen back. And yeah, yeah, my position's just really passive and he's launching an attack. Okay, yeah, I see that now. I see that now. Okay, so that was a bit of a mistake. And that was a miss as well. Okay, so I should have delivered a check. Okay. So deliver a check. Okay, what if he blocks with the bishop? Then I move here. Okay, and the game just goes on. Black's a little bit better. But what if in this position I deliver a check and he blocks with the pawn? Oh, obviously that doesn't work because I just take his queen with check. And he can't take my queen because he's in check and he has to take back. Okay. Yeah, so right here. Yeah, so if I deliver a check, his only move is to block with his bishop. That's the only move. And then I move my queen out of the way and the game just goes on. Okay. Okay, so yeah, don't push e5 in this position. Okay, yeah, this is just a dead even game. It's literally 0.1. It's 0.1. That's basically 0-0. Okay, yep, and then there was the mistake. Really? So that was an inaccuracy. Huh. Oh my gosh, I did have a way out. I had a way out. Look at this. Deliver a check, king slides over, then I pin the bishop. Oh my gosh. I actually had a way out of that. Wow. So my blunder was not pushing g6. My blunder was not realizing that I had a way out of that skewer there. Oh my gosh, I was trying to find a way out of that, but I couldn't. Yep. There was the blunder. The pawn move allowing the skewer was not the blunder. That bishop move was the blunder. Yep. Wow, that's incredible. And he doesn't even have to take my rook. He can just pin, or he can add pressure to the pin piece and after I move my rook, just straight up win a clean bishop. Wow, that's crazy. See, this right here, this is a defensive puzzle, right? As soon as he moves his bishop there, that's a defensive puzzle. It's like it's not a puzzle to win any material or deliver a checkmate. It's a puzzle to get out of a bad situation, right? There's only one move that gets out of it, and it's that. Because it forces the king away, and then I can pin. I cannot believe I missed that. I know most of my audience was probably yelling at their screen because they saw it and I didn't. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, unfortunately, we didn't hit a new personal best. We're back down to 1528, but we're going to keep persevering. We're going to keep improving, and I'll see you guys tomorrow for episode 14. Bye.